Hey now, headbangers, it's Black Metal Werewolf making a brand new video for you this week. And today we are going to be talking about something a bit more serious than usual. We will be delving into an outlook that many metalheads seem to have. More specifically, we will be talking about the idea of the victimhood mentality among many metalheads. Now, before everybody grabs their pitchforks and torches, I just want to make it very clear that I am not here to generalize every single metalhead, and I am well aware that heavy metal has always been a genre of music that has explored dark themes and ideas. That's one of the things that makes it so great. But I am here to talk about whether or not that fascination and focus can sometimes cross the line and become a self-fulfilling prophecy of victimhood and blame. But before we get into today's video, don't forget to follow me on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitch. And if you are interested in the paranormal, you can check out my paranormal podcast, The Lost Campfire, on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And if you have a paranormal story that you would like to share, you can send it to thelostcampfire@gmail.com today, to possibly be featured in a future episode. Finally, if you enjoy my content and enjoy hearing discussions about the ideas and culture surrounding heavy metal, then share this video, hit that like button, and subscribe. Little things like that go a long way in helping the channel grow. Now that all of that stuff is out of the way, we can get down to the idea of the victimhood mentality in heavy metal. So there's no doubt that most of heavy metal has always had its focus on the darker side of things. And it's been that way since the very beginning, with bands like Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, and almost every subgenre that has evolved since then. So, in other words, it is pretty much woven into the fabric of the music genre itself. And there's no doubt that metal can be used as a voice or an outlet for people who want to express darker emotions. Emotions that most genres of music won't even touch with a 50-foot pole. But here's my question. When does that legitimate expression of pain, suffering, angst, or anger become a victimhood mentality? And when does that become a sense of entitlement or a refusal to take responsibility for your problems? You can see these ideas a lot in online discussions, or just generally the way some fans approach the genre of metal itself. The idea that the world owes you something simply because you feel that you've been wronged as a metalhead, or that any form of criticism is a form of oppression or a personal attack on you. What really irritates me is the self-entitlement that a lot of metalheads seem to have. I can't even begin to tell you guys how many times I have heard the same tired cliche repeated over and over and over again. That every kid who was weird in high school is destined to grow up to be some great success, while everyone who was popular in high school is destined to become some fat, bald loser. And that's exactly what a sense of entitlement is. These people feel that they are going to be rewarded not through hard work or perseverance or talent, but they're going to be rewarded simply because they were picked on and the bands they like aren't mainstream. I originally came across somebody with this mindset years ago. I had a friend who got on their internet soapbox and went on a Facebook diatribe about how oppressive and controlling the system is, simply because the band Slipknot doesn't get any radio airtime. And in that instance, I disagreed with the person. I told them the basic logic that the reason why Slipknot doesn't get on the radio is simply because they are not a radio-friendly band. It's not because of the government, it's not because of the system, it's not because of the man, it's just the fact that the general public doesn't want to listen to that type of music on the radio. As much as us metalheads like to hear it, most people don't. I didn't even have to bring up the fact that Slipknot's music sucks dick, it's just the fact they aren't radio-friendly. And when I told this person that, they completely rejected it. Their head was so consumed by this victimhood mentality that they couldn't accept basic logic. It had to be oppression. It had to be the system keeping metalheads down. And when you talk to someone like that, what can you do? They are so consumed by it that they can't see the basic logic that is right in front of their face. I've also noticed that a lot of women who are into heavy metal have a very similar attitude. A lot of them have this chip on their shoulder that they feel they've been rejected from being a metal fan simply because they're a woman. When I have literally never seen that. Every male metalhead I have seen has welcomed women into heavy metal with open arms. It almost reminds me of this scene from The Simpsons.
That's right! A girl wants to play football. How about that?
Well, that's super duper, Lisa. In fact, we already have 4 girls on the team.
You do?
Uh-huh. But we'd love to have you on board.
Now, have some women had a hard time in heavy metal? Absolutely. I'm not saying it has never happened. I'm just saying that instead of focusing on the jerk-off that you don't even know, all while ignoring all the guys who are welcoming you in, that's the wrong mindset to have. Hell, just look at me. If I would have stopped liking heavy metal every time some jackass called me a poser, I would have quit a million times by now. But I am well aware that the thoughts and opinions of other people don't define me, and their criticism will not squash my love for heavy metal music. That's the right mindset to have. But here's the thing, we're not talking about legitimate forms of discrimination or hardship here. We're talking about a mindset that can become self-defeating. A mindset that is solely focused on blaming external factors and totally avoiding internal reflection and action. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that every metalhead who is frustrated or angry by the situation they are in has a victimhood mentality. But I think it is worth considering that some of the ideas floating around can embrace that, and it can become a slippery slope or a snowball effect. And I think one of the biggest problems is there's an attitude online that if you tell someone to pick themselves up by their bootstraps and to get to work, you're like some Nazi or a right-wing asshole. Well, you know what? At this point, I would rather be a right-wing asshole than some bleeding heart who keeps telling people to not make a difference. Yes, you are oppressed. Yes, you need to keep blaming other people. Yes, don't make a difference. Stay in the wallowing pit of self-pity you've created. Yeah, that's a great attitude to have. Look, I'm a firm believer that the vast majority of the problems we face in our daily lives are self-inflicted. And the only way we can overcome those problems is to take responsibility and to get into a plan of action. There's nothing wrong with asking for help, but if you're just gonna sit there and expect solutions to fall from the fucking sky while you sit down and do nothing, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, you've got to help us, Doc. We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
Now, I know in this video I'm coming off as really negative, but here's the great thing in all of this. There is a light at the end of that tunnel. One of the great things about heavy metal is you can take those negative ideas and emotions and you can channel them into creating something great. Just think about all of the metal bands that you know and love. I'm sure most of them at some point felt that they were never good enough, that they were never going to make it, that they were never going to be successful. But did they give up? No. They put their nose to the grindstone, they perfected their craft, and they worked really, really hard. They didn't just sit around going, oh, woe is me. They didn't do that, and neither should you. Now, I gotta tell you guys something. I personally was stuck in that victimhood mentality for a very long time. I was a loser, I didn't like myself, I was lazy, I didn't put any effort into anything I did, I was out of shape. And you know what, I probably would have stayed in that mindset with that bad attitude and everything had I not sat down with myself and had a really honest conversation, and I started taking responsibility for my life. I think the key thing here is finding your sense of agency. And the best way to do that is to actually listen to heavy metal music. Because the music itself isn't about sitting around dwelling on being a victim. The best heavy metal often inspires you to do something, to make the change, to find the strength within yourself, to overcome the obstacles, regardless of what challenges are in the way. It's not about being a victim. And as if that last statement didn't spell it out loud enough, I obviously don't think listening to heavy metal gives people a victimhood mentality. However, I do kind of feel that some people might be listening to heavy metal for the wrong reasons. It's like they're weird or an outsider, so then they stumble upon this music that they feel is for weird outside people. And then it just becomes a continuous cycle of negative reinforcement. But now I want to get your guys' opinion on all of this. Do you feel that there is a common attitude within the heavy metal subculture that gives people a victimhood mentality? Or does it attract people with a victimhood mentality? Or do you think none of this is even worth discussing and that I'm just stirring the pot? Let me know down in the comment section, because I genuinely want to know what your guys' perspective is on all of this. Overall, thank you for checking out my video, and I really appreciate you guys watching till the end, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Oh yeah, and don't forget to stay brutal.